I just finished long-term testing the new Tiguan, and we'll go over the good, the bad, literally everything in today's video. Let's get right into it. Powering this is a turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed. Fuel economy is 22 around town, 30 on the highway, with power outputs being 201 horsepower and then 207 pound-feet of torque. There is a more powerful version available for the 26 model year. I'll review that at a later date. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me get there before the end of the year. The new Tiguan is very boxy with the design. Look how the hood is raised there on either side. And I mean, look at the daytime running light, just a straight line, and then you can see how that kind of continues to the Volkswagen logo. Got this larger grille, kind of, the bottom end kind of reminds me of the Kia Soul just a little bit. But either way, it's boxy, and you know what? I like boxy. Tire and wheel setup is 235 by 50 by 19. You've got silver with some darker trim. It's a pretty good looking wheel, and you can see I've been doing some SUV stuff with this with the mud we got in the wheel well. And yeah, this is in fact an SUV, and again, you'll notice that the front end is probably the boxiest part. The back end does taper off a bit, but I think the overall design works quite well. Now when it comes to key fob features, we've got our lock and unlock function. You've got the opening for the rear hatch, remote start, VW logo there on the back. These tabs to fold down the seats, and then we do have spare tire underneath. This is pretty similar in size to a RAV4 in terms of the storage space, and that's kind of its main competition, I would assume. Very stylized taillights here. Notice how it creates this kind of like light bar effect that goes into the Tiguan Volkswagen logo area. So I think we can all agree they did not miss on the exterior. And again, this isn't a crazy color. When you see this in some brighter colors, it pops even more. But yeah, good job on the styling. This week's giveaway highlight is perfect for Mustang enthusiasts. The first car is a 60th anniversary GT convertible. You can't make a better date night car than that. The next car is a 1966 K-Code Mustang. It's got a V8, it's got a 4-speed manual, perfect for enthusiasts. And this is what you think of when you think of the word Mustang. Now, not only are the two Mustangs part of this giveaway, but also $34,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes. And your donations go towards helping children's and veterans charities. So use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus entries with any donation, $25 or more. Let's now check out the interior. You're gonna have a mix of materials. I can't remember what this synthetic trim is called, but it has very interesting texture to it. And then down below, you've got some soft touch with the stitching. And that mix of materials kind of continues onto the seats, perforated all down the center, by the way. Legroom back here is great. Got a little storage pocket. Vents here in the rear. We also have some USB ports. And then headroom back here with that boxy design is quite good for a more compact vehicle. Keyless entry for up front, and let's check it out. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. You've got soft touch down below, and then you've got that two-tone coloration below that. And then I quickly show you guys just the mirror adjustments right there. And then the driver's seat, again, perforated all down the center. It's got power adjustments and lumbar support. The passenger seat's manual with the adjustments. And this is interesting with the light controls. You got that little button set up off to the left of the steering wheel. Speaking of steering wheel, soft touch all around. You do have a bunch of practical controls on this. So for the adaptive cruise control, volume controls, and then this is for that little screen there in the center. And this actually has a column shifter. There's kind of like a twisty doodad thing. Full digital gauge cluster. You've got the two gauges on either side. You can change the information in there. You can kind of change the main gauge. You'll note just under half a tank, 225 miles of range. This actually has quite a bit of range. Fuel economy is really good. In the real world, I've been averaging over 30, which is better than what you would expect considering the EPA numbers. A little bit more on the highway side of things, but still enough city driving. We do have a backup camera in reverse, and it's got pretty good resolution. Now I'm just gonna say it right out of the gate, I hate this infotainment system. So you've got the climate control sliders and the volume slider, not the worst thing on the planet, actually relatively easy to use. The heated seats are also pretty easy to use. So like, I'm not a fan of climate controls on the screen, but it's easy enough that not a big problem. The problem that I do have is for the rest of the screen, it's kind of like you have to go and dive into a bunch of different menus just to kind of go through things. Like this is the radio setup. Sorry, let me turn off the volume so I don't get in trouble. But this is kind of the radio setup, right? So you'll note that you have to kind of spend quite a bit of time in the screen. And then when you're driving, it'll continue to give you warnings saying, hey, pay attention. And it's like, well, it'd be easier to pay attention if the screen didn't have so many menus to dive into. So this is one of the downsides of having so much screen, and I've never had a car nanny me that much. But anyways, everything is nicely labeled in terms of the features and functions, so it's like not horrible, but yeah, I definitely think that we need to have more physical controls. And the whole thing of the car saying you have to have a pause period before you can use the screen again because you got like in trouble, stupidest thing ever. We do have some storage down below. Get your engine stop start. I like this. It's kind of like stylized. It's definitely a gimmick, but kind of cool. Some USB ports, center console. Got some nice trim on the top right there. And then more nice trim on the dash as well. Now this SE version, 35,220. Let's see how the Tiguan performs. I can get it to do the annoying thing. I'm just gonna keep doing this until it should, there we go. So you can see temporarily paused. If your infotainment system is so bad that you have to put a pause feature on it because you know it's going to distract people, maybe you should go back to using physical buttons. And I think actually in Europe, some countries have, again, look at the news. I'm not the best source of this, but I think there's like a law that's been released by certain countries that cars now have to have a mandate of a certain amount of physical buttons because they deem it as so dangerous. So yeah, again, the infotainment system is quick to respond to everything. It's just too many menus you have to dive into, too many things you have to go through, too many hoops to jump through. Now, even though this doesn't have double pane windows or anything like that, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have double pane glass. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have double pane glass. It's still decently insulated. You are going to get some tire noise and everything on the highway, but it's not bad at all. Again, with the crossover, you sit a little bit higher up off the ground, so it helps with minimizing noise and all of that. Ride's pretty good. The seats are comfortable. Like I said, this interior is nice. I mean, Volkswagen's definitely stepped up their game when it comes to interiors. So all things considered, it's actually a pretty nice car. Again, spacious. I do have, other than the infotainment system, I do have another annoyance with this car, and that's the engine. Now, I'll see if the higher output turbo version is more exciting or better, but this, once you're into it, it's got pretty good torque. It's decent. Doesn't really have a whole lot of highway passing power. Again, it's 201 horsepower roughly, so not going to be all that quick. But my beef with this is the turbo lag can be so bad that it feels unsafe at times. I've had several times where I pull out into traffic and I'm like foot all the way down and I'm like, where is the power? I would rather have an NA 4-cylinder when the power is that bad. No, seriously, like it's, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to replicate it here. Probably try to, let me make this turn up here. I'll come to like a full stop. Because there's nobody behind me, so it doesn't matter. Okay, look, nothing, and then you get some power. So we're talking about like a solid, what, like 2+ seconds, maybe 3 almost, where you have like no power. And so you can imagine you pull out into traffic, right, even at a safe distance, and it starts to feel kind of spooky. Like there was one time where, again, I try to be like, you guys see how I drive. I try to drive like a grandpa for the most part. I try to be a respectful driver. I don't like being that person that pulls out and slows down traffic. And I had a situation with this car this week where I was that person, and I thought like there was a huge amount of distance, but the turbo lag was so bad that by the time I actually got power and was actually started to get up and move, the cars had caught up to me. So it's bad. And it doesn't have to be. Other manufacturers that are using turbo 4-cylinders have way more torque on the low end. You don't have to sit there and rev up like what you have to do with this, where it's just, yeah. They need to fix something. Again, I'll see the higher performance version of this, see if it's better, if it's more responsive. But outside of that, I mean, again, it's a nice car. It's impressive to see what Volkswagen's become, because they went from being the cars that literally fell apart to now, I mean, this feels like a decent like product. It actually feels like somewhat like quality, you know? Like I said, the materials feel pretty nice. The doors have like a kind of hefty feel to them. It feels kind of solid, so it's actually a pretty nice setup, all things considered. So many of you guys think about the new Tiguan, but I think if they can fix the turbo lag and the infotainment system, then this car would be like the looks that this has and everything else it has going for it. I would have it very highly rated in my mind. But as it sits right now, those two things are annoying enough that me personally, like if I was in this segment, I would skip the car just because of those two like it's getting locked out of the infotainment system and having an infotainment system that functions this way and then having turbo lag like that, that bothers me enough on a daily basis that I wouldn't want to drive the car. So let me know your thoughts.